Welcome to all. Today's topic is find out the velocities of two spherical bodies after elastic collision. There are two different bodies with different mass, with different velocity also. After collision, the velocities are changed. Let us consider two perfectly elastic bodies A and B. Let M1 and M2 are the masses of two bodies, U1 and E2, velocities of two bodies before collision, V1 and V2, velocities of bodies after collision. So, during collision, the two bodies will be depressed at a region of contact for a very short interval of time. Then, the two bodies moves with different velocities. That is during collision. During collision, two bodies are pressed with each other. Let us consider momentum of two bodies. So, before collision, the momentum of A is equal to m1 u1, momentum of B is equal to m2 u2, total momentum of the system is equal to m1 u1 plus m2 u2. That is before collision. After collision, velocity are changed. So, momentum of A is equal to m1 v1, V is equal to m2 v2, total momentum of the system is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. Now, applying the law of conservation of momentum. What is this law? That is, total momentum of the system before collision is equal to after collision. That is, m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. So, this implies m1 u1 minus m1 v1 is equal to m2 v2 minus m2 u2. So, this implies m1 is common, that is m1 into u1 minus b1 is equal to m2 into b2 minus u2, equation 1. Let us consider the kinetic energies of the bodies before collision. Kinetic energy of A is equal to half m1 u1 square. Kinetic energy of the body B is equal to half m2 u2 square. Total kinetic energy of the system before collision is equal to half m1 u1 square plus half m2 u2 square. After collision, the velocities are changed. So, kinetic energy of A is equal to half m1 v1 square. Kinetic energy of B is equal to half m2 v2 square. Total kinetic energy of the system is equal to half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square. Now, apply the law. So, applying the law of conservation of energy, that is, total kinetic energy of the system before collision is equal to that after collision. That is equal to half m1 u1 square plus half m2 u2 square is equal to half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square. So, that is equal to half m1 u1 square minus half m1 v1 square is equal to half m2 v2 square minus half m2 u2 square. This implies half m1 into u1 square minus v1 square is equal to half m2 v2 square minus u2 square, equation 2. Now, divide the equation 2 by 1. Divide the equation 2 by equation 1, we get half m1 into u1 square minus v1 square by m1 into u1 minus v1 is equal to half m2 v2 square minus u2 square by m2 v2 minus u2. This implies u1 plus v1 is equal to v2 plus u2. So, this implies V2 is equal to U1 plus V1 minus U2. This implies V2 is equal to U1 minus U2 plus V1, equation 3. So this is the equation for V2 from equation 1. From equation 1, that is M1 U1 minus V1 is equal to M2 V2 minus U2. From equation 1 we get M1 into U1 minus V1 is equal to M2 into V2. Put this value V2, that is M1 into U1 minus V1 is equal to M2 U1 minus U2 plus V1 minus U2. So this implies M1 U1 minus M1 V1 is equal to M1 into U1 plus V1 minus 2 U2. This implies M1 U1 minus M1 V1 is equal to M2 U1 minus M2 V1 minus 2 M2 U2. This implies M1 V1 plus M2 V1 is equal to M1 U1 minus M2 U1 plus minus 2 M2 U2. This implies M1 V1 plus M2 V1 is equal to M1 U1 minus 2 M1 M2 U1 plus 2 M2 U2. Clear? M1 V1 plus M2 V1 is equal to M1 U1 minus M2 U1 plus 2 M2 U2. This implies V1 is common, V1 is into M1 plus M2 is equal to U1 into M1 minus M2 plus 2 U2 M2. This implies V1 is equal to U1 M1 minus M2 plus 2 U2 M1 by M1 plus M2. So this implies V1 is equal to M1 minus M2 by M1 plus M2 whole into U1 plus 2 M2 by M1 plus M2 whole into U2. That is expression for velocities of body A after elastic collision. From equation 3, that is V2 is equal to U1 minus U2 plus V1. From this equation we get V2 is equal to U1 minus U2 plus value, putting the value of V1, that is M1 minus M2 by M1 plus M2 whole into U1 plus 2M2 by M1 plus M2 whole into U2. Okay, this implies V2 is equal to 1 plus M1 minus M2 by M1 plus M2 whole into U1 plus 2M2 by M1 plus M2 whole into minus 1 whole into U2. This implies M1 plus M2 plus M1 minus M2 by M1 plus M2 whole into U1 equal to, V2 is equal to M1 plus M2 plus M1 minus M2 by M1 plus M2 whole into U1 plus 2M2 minus M1 minus M2 by M1 plus M2 whole into U2. So this implies V2 is equal to 2M1 by M1 plus M2 into U1 plus M2 minus M1 by M1 plus M2 into U2. So this implies V2 is equal to 2M2 by m1 plus m2 into u1 plus m2 minus m1 by m1 plus m2 into u1. This is the velocities of body B after elastic collision. These are the expression for the velocities of two bodies after elastic collision. That's all. Thank you.